Hi, this is Tiffany Sicard with HomeKey Mortgage, and you're listening to Local Leaders, the podcast. Every business owner has a story. Let Jim Chapman tell yours.
Hi, it's Tricia, Johnston, residential realtor with Blum with your real estate tip of the week. It's hurricane season, so there's no better time than now to take a look at your insurance coverage to make sure it's sufficient. For homeowners coverage, you want to make sure that not only your contents coverage is enough, but also your structure. Property values have increased quite a bit over the past year, so you want to make sure that your coverage amounts have increased as well. Same thing for your flood insurance. Make sure that your building and your contents coverages are where they need to be, and take a look at your deductibles to make sure you're okay with those. If you don't have flood insurance, I highly recommend that you get it, whether or not you're in a flood zone that requires it, or whether or not you have a mortgage lender who requires it. Every home should have flood insurance. We've had 3 substantial flood events since 2016 in the greater Baton Rouge area, and many of the houses that flooded were in flood zones that didn't require flood insurance. I hope you never have to make a claim, but if you do need to, I want to make sure you have sufficient coverage on your home to make things whole again for you. If you have any questions about the value of your property or anything else to do with real estate, I'll be happy to help you. Just give me a call. I'm Tricia Johnston with Blum, and I'll be back here next week with another real estate tip for you.
Yeast, barley, hops, and water. These are the 4 main ingredients for beer. My guests for today have taken these ingredients and the taste to a whole new level with their brewery located in the Antique District in Denham Springs. Chien, which translated means the dog, has created an atmosphere where the whole family, pets included, can relax, listen to live bands, eat ham pies, and even play life-size games of Connect 4. Today, we're going to talk about this and a whole lot more. So welcome Brett and Ryan Dunham to Local Leaders, the podcast. I am glad to have y'all here today. Now, before we jump into all things Chien, I want to give everyone a little history on you two. So Ryan, let's start with you. Now, you run the pie-eyed side of Chien, correct?
Yes, sir.
So there's a whole other side to you even before that. You worked for some pretty popular restaurants at one point in time, and you also have a pretty deep knowledge of computers, all things computers, really.
Yep.
I find it very interesting to talk to you. Kind of take us through all that, but, you know, just a little synopsis of what you did before you were in the beer business and ham pie business.
All right. When I was younger, I worked in a lot of restaurants, kind of cut my teeth there on food. More recently, I became a Apple-specific consultant. I worked for different places, anywhere from orthodontists to criminal defense lawyers and movie studios. It was a lot of fun. It was also a very challenging job, and I wanted to do something fun that was also challenging, so it brought me here.
You seem like the kind of guy that likes to be challenged.
I do. Every day is a challenge for sure.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it, especially in your business that you're doing now. But, I mean, it seems like your whole life you've just kind of been one of those people that you like to figure things out.
Yeah, there's no fun in complacency. I always like to challenge myself, come up with new things, come up with fixes.
Yeah, there is no fun in complacency. I like that. And this guy, who is this guy to your right in relation to you?
This is my best and only brother, Brett.
Your favorite brother.
Yeah.
By default.
By default. And Brett, you are kind of the beer guy behind Chien. And you actually have some interesting training in that, so that you didn't just kind of decide to open a beer brewery and jump into it. You had some stuff behind that. Kind of take us through a little bit of your experience in brewing.
All right, so basically started at Gnarly Barley, helped Zach over there, some family friends at this point, helped finish putting the brew system together and stuff, and then I brewed over there for about 9 months. at Gnarly Barley to help get them going and stuff like that. So learned a bunch of good lessons over there, and what to do, what not to do, and kind of moved. Once I graduated from Southeastern, the commute to Hammond was pretty long, so I ended up going our separate ways, and then eventually I brewed at Tin Roof.
Awesome. Yeah. And then through that, obviously at some point that led to Le Chien, but that was kind of like your sea legs if you were in the Navy. That's where you kind of learned and really got an interest in what you wanted to do here with Le Chien. And you, on the other hand, you were the food guy. And so I don't know if any of you listeners out there have had them hand pies yet, but I'm going to tell you the breakfast hand pies are amazing. They're just everything from the service that you get when you pull up to the hand pies themselves are what you would expect from almost like a high, ultra high class restaurant. You can tell that these things were made and tested with love, if you will. And this guy right here, Ryan, he takes a lot of pride in those recipes and everything, right? So you and I have talked about how you've tried this and tried that. That's kind of the fun part. You try things out, see what works. So I wanted to mention that food truck everybody sees out there when they're going through the Antique District on the way to work. It takes about 5 minutes from the time you stop to the time you're gone. No time at all.
Maybe even less.
Yeah. And you don't even leave your car, which is great. So if you want to catch up on that morning email and just tell them what you need, by the time you're done with that email, they're going to have your food in your car and you can continue on down the road. I was very impressed with that when I went by and bought some for some businesses, local businesses here in Denham Springs. So I wanted to mention that.
Thank you, Jim.
I also wanted to ask you, Ryan, with the hand pies, you have an interesting and ultra delicious menu there at night when people are kind of chilling with their beer. And you offer several different things. So you have onion rings that are yum. You have boudin balls.
Boudin balls made with our own beer batter, made from the beer that Brett brews.
There you go. So you got Brett's fabulous beer and those battered around those boudin balls. And I've had, I'm almost ashamed to say I've had one of everything there.
And the boudin
really
balls
good.
are unbeatable. The secret sauce that comes with it, there's nothing like it.
Yes, very good. What is your best seller out of that food truck at night? What's your biggest requested item?
Probably the boudin balls.
Yeah.
We sell a lot of hand pies, but we have a variety of those. So the numbers add up to probably be our most popular item. But beyond the boudin balls, the singular most bestseller is probably the Oreo stuffed beignets.
Yum. I have not had those yet. I missed out on those, so I'll have those. I think my wife ate all of those.
They're deadly.
She hid them from me. Yeah, so I'll have to try those. You're doing your thing with computers and with restaurants. You're doing your thing related field for sure. You're at Tin Roof at this time. At some point, there's a discussion of, I think we want to kind of open a brewery. Now, to me, that would blow my mind, right? But I was talking to someone about this the other day, and it's worth mentioning. The difference between success and failure to me a lot of times is not the brain power someone has. It's the ability to act on that brain power. So almost all of us can have genius ideas, right? And we'll tell people, we'll brag about it. Oh, this is a genius idea. And then it kind of dies right there. The difference is people that see it through don't get psyched out. You strike me as someone that loves a challenge.
Absolutely.
And that is what it took, right? That's what it takes. This is not, I'm opening up, a paint store that's common this thing's got some red tape with it. So at some point you decide I'm going to do this. I'd imagine you talk to Dad. He's very involved in your business, right? He's there every day. Great guy, Ryan Dunham. Kind of take me through that first thought.
So kind of it all started with home brewing, as many breweries kind of start with.
Yeah. William Waldrep of TWFG Insurance in Denham Springs can service all of your insurance needs. Offering auto, life, health, and commercial insurance, William Waldrep of TWFG Insurance is a proud supporter of Local Leaders, the podcast.
Ryan and my mom, we bought Dad a home brewing kit one day for Father's Day.
Yeah.
And I think it sat in the shop until the next Father's Day, and we're like, oh man, we forgot all about that when we were sitting there barbecuing, drinking different beers and stuff that Ryan probably brought to us. And
Yeah.
that was kind of our thing. We like to sit around and drink different things, different
Sure.
beers and stuff. So we ended up pulling it out that day and brewing the beer.
Oh,
And
awesome.
and the ingredients were, way expired. The yeast is supposed to be kept refrigerated. It's been sitting in the hot shop for a year,
Yeah.
So it was the beer was a little lackluster, and we didn't have the finesse then either.
It's a bit
so
tart.
it was.
Got some bite.
I'll say that it had alcohol present, but there wasn't much else that was good about it. But we've learned a lot since then, and it's been a real fun journey. And basically, me and Dad and Ryan have put together recipes for the last 10, 12 years.
Yeah.
And just brewed repetition and developed better recipes, tweaked recipes, and been just kind of honing the craft and
Yeah.
kind of learning about the brewing industry.
And that's the fun part is I would imagine is playing around with these recipes and having that glass and you pour that drink from that recipe and you take a swig of that beer and you're like, oh, this is good. Mm-hmm. And then you replicate it,
Exactly.
and it becomes part of Le Chien's menu and all of those sorts of things. So you come to this decision, Ryan, you're doing other things and you saw an opportunity here to line up with your family and work with this guy right here every day, and you
Sure.
took it, right?
How could you pass that up?
Yeah. Yeah. It's a blessing, really.
Yeah.
And it's some people that are like, oh gosh, I couldn't imagine working with my family all day. But when you love your family and you're very tight, I would imagine it doesn't get any better than that.
Absolutely.
And everybody's got the same goal, and y'all bounce off of each other extremely well. Ryan, your logic and his need to just basically dominate what he's doing and all of those sorts of things, figure it out. Those bounce off very well. And that's an important aspect in business is you want people to have different talents.
Absolutely.
We definitely have a yin and yang type situation.
Yeah.
And anybody else that it's in a family business knows that it's never always easy.
Nah.
But, some days we want to kill each other, but other days it's great.
Indeed.
And, it's a very enjoyable thing waking up in the morning and loving going to work.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mentioned Dad who's involved in this and there every day helping. Was he very supportive at the beginning?
Oh yeah. He's been a large part of this. We're equals.
Yeah.
We're not, he's pretty much helped every step of the way. So
that's a beautiful thing.
He's been a part of it every step of the way.
Yeah.
It took us 6 years to find a building, with the flood in between that, and kind of postponed us for a year.
Yeah.
But it was, people always say that finding a location is the hardest thing that you're going to do, and it turned out to be correct.
Hardest and most stressful, because once you're committed, and there's kind of no going back, and especially in your business, because it wasn't like you were opening and you just were putting tables in there and you were ready to roll. I mean, you had a lot to do.
Absolutely.
You mentioned it, 6 years, kind of between the time you started looking and the time you were settled on a building. Nobody gave up on that dream during that time. And that's impressive. Most people, we're in a society now where it's got to happen fast, and if it dies within 6-8 months, or you get a flood or things like that, guess what? Right. It wasn't meant to be. We're going to go do something else. That's impressive. You did decide eventually and find a building in Livingston Parish in Denham Springs. In my opinion, you couldn't pick a better location. Folks, I've been out there. There is nothing better to me with my passion for local business and my community to sit in a chair and I'm looking right at that Denham Springs water tower. I've got the best beer I've ever tasted in my hand. I've got the greatest boudin balls over here that I'm eating, and I'm just sitting down chatting with these guys who are awesome. The location to me was perfect for what you're doing. You're a local brewery, and you're right in the heart of local business, and I love that. Now you're selling alcohol, and so there's a little red tape there relative to if you were selling, tools. Right. How hard was it at the beginning, kind of just to get open, and jump over that hump?
A lot of it was education. There was a lot of preconception that, hey, we wanted to make our own beer and serve our own beer. There was a lot of people that were very hesitant about the idea. Yeah. And it was through education and showing them pictures of other breweries and kind of telling them the vibe that we want. Yeah. And that it's just going to be a family-friendly restaurant that you can come hang out with your kids and feel safe. Sure. We have a lot of single females that will just bring their dog and come hang out and drink a beer. Yeah. And that means a lot to me, that they feel safe there enough to come by themselves. Yeah. And I love that. That's good. It's been definitely a journey to become Denham Springs' first and only, and Livingston Parish's first and only brewery. Yeah. Ever. Yeah. So it's been a journey, and we're glad that we're here. Yeah, we're glad you're here. And Ryan, he just kind of talked about some interesting concepts, and you're a concept guy. Yes. Hand pies aren't common. As a matter of fact, yours might have been the first one I had. You know what I thought they were? I thought they were meat pies. Right. I hear meat pies, empanadas. They're all similar. They're all a crust that you can stuff stuff inside of. Mine is made out of a buttery, flaky European-style cow butter. Yum. It's all handmade. When you see the little waviness around the hand pies, that's because it's hand crimped. Yeah. Everything in the hand pie is made from scratch. So. Yeah. Yeah. And your concept there was you wanted to offer something that people just couldn't get anywhere. You can't exactly. Get that at we want to be a destination. If I did pizza or barbecue, sure, it could be great, but you could get that around the corner too. So I want to do something slightly different. And the genius thing about the hand pie is it's just a casing, and you can put anything inside of it. So if I want to do pepperoni pizza, everybody's very familiar with pepperoni pizza. They know what they're getting into, but they're also getting something that's different. Yeah, yeah. And do you do pepperoni I do pizza? Do pepperoni pizza. Yum. Got cheeseburger, chicken pot pie. Cheeseburger's the best. Is it? It sounds good too. And we do sweet pies too, which instead of being baked, those are deep fried. We do blueberry. Yeah. We have a cherries Jubilee now. So. Yeah. So I had the blueberry the other day, and just unbelievable, amazing taste. And I have a picture of it that I took. So as we're talking, these pictures are going to pop up of things we're talking about. One thing that is also interesting is your food truck. It's really nice. It's great job on the wrap. I don't know who designed it, but they did a beautiful job on it. It catches your eye. Great color. I'll go ahead and give a shout out to Mandy at iRoll Creative. She's the one that did all my design work. There you go. She also did our Crowler labels. Yeah. Design. She's fantastic. Awesome. Shout out Mandy. Great job. I love the color. That blue is just a pretty blue. I don't know what they call that blue. Yeah, it's a little retro looking. It kind of looks like a modern station wagon. Yes. But, yes. Yeah, it kind of does, but it fits with what y'all are doing. Stephanie Berthelot and the crew at SR Enterprise can handle it all. From sheetrock to texture to paint. Give Stephanie a call at 504-432-9284. SR Enterprise, where they spread the paint and you spread the word.
And that's, continuing on with concept. One of the other things with Le Chien is that you allow pets. You welcome pets. You love pets. Do you have is it primarily dogs, or can you bring anything?
We've had a goat.
Yeah, a goat.
We've had a cat on a leash.
Yeah. On a leash.
And a stroller. It was pretty cool.
That's cute.
So,
what about a bearded dragon?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Good. My son has one.
One of our good friends' daughter carries a bearded dragon in the brewery all the time. Yeah.
Awesome. Those are amazing animals.
Yeah.
My son has one, and they're very aware. You would never think that, but when I walk in the room and I say hello to the bearded dragon, it turns around and looks at me. It's kind of crazy. So I may bring it one day.
Yeah,
it's
bring them
an
on.
Interesting little conversation piece. And y'all are dog lovers yourselves and pet lovers yourselves. And you do a lot to support specifically the Denham Springs. Is it animal shelter?
Animal shelter.
Okay, yeah. I want to talk about that a little bit because obviously when it comes to tax dollars, you only have so much to give out, and you're putting some here and you're putting some there. But animal shelters probably in general get kind of the low end of the priority. Let's just say that. So they always need help, right?
Absolutely.
These guys right here are very giving to that animal shelter. They do a lot of things for it. They'll do promotions where aspect of that is given back to the animal shelter. And so we want to shout out those people and the work they're doing. But how much does that mean to y'all to be able to help that organization?
So basically, I mean, we fully support them. We got our last dog, Pierre. He's kind of the brewery dog. If you've been there during the week, he's always there with us.
Awesome.
And just running around the yard and chasing birds off the patio and such. He came from the animal shelter. They showed up for work one day and somebody tied him to the front fence and just abandoned him.
Oh, man.
So and he was a very small puppy at that time, and we got him, and he's a beautiful grown big puppy now, I guess. He's a little over a year old, and but we fully support those guys, and we want to anything that they need. We told them to reach out to us, and we'll find a way, kind of thing, to help them. And so we haven't contributed as much as we want thus far, but we're moving forward. We're trying to do as much as we can. We have an event this Saturday coming up, and we have the dunking booth and hot dog eating contest. All the entry fees and money from the dunking booth is going straight to the animal shelter.
There you go. So, and we're going to talk about that in this hour, I guess, and discuss this awesome event coming up. We got some people, speaking of that, just to bring this up.
We have some great guests.
Yeah,
booth.
I saw you got the Denham City Police Chief himself in that booth.
Mr. Shannon Womack.
Yes, sir.
We also have Rick
Good
Foster, the city building official.
Yeah, I can't wait to throw one at him. Just kidding. Don't come fail me. I'm playing. So some well-known folks in this community, and look, they're doing something good for charity too. They're probably hoping they don't get dunked, but always fun to throw those out there. Now, I want to talk a little bit about Le Chien from the aspect of what goes into brewing that beer, time-wise. Like, the interesting thing about Le Chien is it's different in its hours. So we're going to cover that in this podcast pretty heavily, so everybody realizes when you're open, when you're closed, and all those sorts of things. And there's a reason for that. You have to brew the beer, right? You're not
absolutely.
This stuff is all brewed on site. You brought me on a tour. It's amazing, folks. This used to be an oil change place, right?
Right.
So the interesting thing is all these tanks are where they used to change the oil, below the cars. Perfect spot. It's all lighted up in there, and it's really cool. It's like walking in a spaceship.
One of two basements in Denham Springs that we know of.
Really?
Yeah.
That's an interesting fact.
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. So this, there's a lot that goes into that. Kind of take me through that process.
So the basic brewing process, we have barley and oats and wheat and stuff that goes into the mash tun. and at a specific temperature and pH, we're converting our starches to sugars for a certain amount of time. And basically our byproduct of that is spent grain, which goes to local farmers to feed cattle.
Yeah.
And so they're very grateful to get free feed for their cattle, and it keeps the weight on them all winter. So they're very grateful for that. And then so from there we transfer it to the boil kettle, add our hops and some other ingredients and stuff. Like we make our hibiscus beer. The hibiscus goes in like the last 5 minutes of the boil. Yeah. To give you that pink kind of color and extract those floral notes out of it. Yeah. From there, we cool it down through a heat exchanger. We run it downstairs. We pitch whatever yeast goes with that beer onto it, and the yeast ferments the sugars into alcohol and CO2. Yeah. I tell people kind of a crude way to say it is it pees alcohol and it farts CO2.
That's a good way to put it.
Because it's a living organism. Yeah. So it's you have to give it all the things that it needs to live and thrive. So we put oxygen in it before we pitch the yeast in it. And it has all the nutrients from the grain and stuff like that it needs. Yeah. So once it's done fermenting, we drop the temperature on it. The yeast gets sleepy and drops out of suspension. And then we can harvest that yeast and use it for the next batch. Awesome. Of that type of beer. There's different yeast strains that give you different flavors, but that's the basics of it. And then we transfer it into, if you've seen the tanks underneath the bar, when you're standing at the bar, you look down and there's tanks underneath you. Yeah. We transfer it in one of those tanks, and then we carbonate it there. We force CO2 into it. Yeah. And then it gives you the nice bubbles on it. And then from there we tap it directly to a trunk line, and it goes up to the taps. Yeah. So we're not having to keg or anything, clean kegs or anything like that.
Ah, it's like perfect, man. It was like the perfect spot for what you're doing, and I want to go back to that a little bit. And just, were there ever any other considerations on like where you would put the brewery, or was it always kind of Livingston Parish?
Yeah, we kind of looked in multiple areas. We kind of looked at Mandeville, North Shore, stuff like that. That was kind of our first kind of thing. And then we kind of pulled back to Baton Rouge, looked a bunch of different places there, and
around Prairieville.
Yeah. Prairieville, we looked in Livingston, we looked in Central. We kind of kept, we always said that we always kept our options open. Sure. And kind of look for the building that fits us. Yeah. And it's kind of like when you find your significant other, the one that really sticks. Yeah. Everybody says, oh, you're going to know when you find the right one. Yeah. Everybody kept telling us that for the property. And then we had a meeting with the Denham Springs mayor, Mr. Gerard. Yeah. Landry, and he's been fantastic for us, and
he's a great guy.
He's a businessman, and he's kind of we went and pitched him the idea, and he was kind of skeptical like everybody else. Sure. And once we kind of showed him pictures and kind of told him what we were all about and kind of our concept, he was like, "Man, this sounds great for the city. Let's do it." Yeah. So
and you're right across from City Hall.
Exactly. It just happened to work out that way. But, so like within like a week of having that meeting, I was just driving around Denham Springs and writing down addresses and stalking, through the tax assessor's website and who owns all these properties, and found this building, and it was abandoned. There was nobody there, and they were in the process of listing it, and so we got to it before it got listed. Yeah. And we started negotiations and ended up buying the property. Awesome. And it's kind of one of those things that everybody's always said, when you know, and we knew at that point.
That's interesting. Yeah. Ryan,
it was a perfect location for us. And during our entire experience of looking for a location, there was such a wealth of knowledge gained, and by the end, we knew this is going to work and this isn't going to work.
Yeah. Yeah, so you just knew this is the right spot. Absolutely. And it's important, listeners, that we remember that any business that opens in Livingston Parish, but especially a business like this, they have an investment. They've invested in us as a community, and I try to keep that in mind when when I shop local for many reasons. One of them, I'm just hyper local. I'm just probably overboard with my love of local, although I don't believe anybody can be overboard with that. But that's one of the reasons. But the other reason is I try to keep in mind that these people have an investment here, and they've kind of invested in us, and it's our responsibility to then invest in them. And sometimes you'll go into business and you might say, wow, I don't know, this ain't my type of food or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. Let me tell you, there is nothing not to like about your brewery. Every aspect of that brewery, I want to keep hammering this down, but is just well thought out. There's a lot of love in everything you do, from the food to the beer. Everybody there is just kind of chilling and having a good time. You're listening to live music. One thing that I want to impress, please understand, this is not a bar by any stretch of the imagination. I've been in bars. This ain't a bar. This is more of a hangout is the way I would kind of describe it. It's somewhere where you want to go after work and just have a couple of beers. And hey, you want to bring your notebook and go out there and plan your next day? Yep. That's fine. They want you to, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
It's encouraged.
We have quite a few people that will come on like Friday evenings, and like they'll hammer out their last 2 hours of work and sit and drink a beer and grab some food and shut their laptop, and they're off for the rest of the day.
That's it. And so it's common. I ran into some people last time I went by there, and I said, I didn't think I'd see y'all here. And they said, we're here every Thursday. This is kind of like our deal. Mm-hmm. It was 3 friends, and they meet on Thursdays at 4 at Chien, and just have a couple of beers and catch up for the week or whatever. So I do want to stress that is not a bar. It is a hangout. Bring the kids. You have plenty of things to do for the kids there, from the tic-tac-toe or whatever it is, Connect Four, the life-size version of that, the bowling pins and everything. So they encourage that.
From humble beginnings in 1989, Big Mike's has long been a place for friends and family to gather for lunch, dinner, and drinks. Big Mike, Jocelyn, and their friendly staff invite you to come in and relax in one of their spacious dining areas, or watch a game on one of the big screen TVs. Big Mike's is a place to meet old friends or make new ones. Big Mike's offers daily and nightly specials, and they specialize in serving up delicious and fresh menu items. Big Mike's offers a catering menu for large groups and has private party rooms for up to 100 guests. Whether you're planning a quick lunch or a large family dinner, or just a night out with friends, Big Mike welcomes you to experience a great time. And don't forget to grab some t-shirts, caps, or koozies in the gift shop. Oh, or a bottle of Big Mike's Honey Dijon. It's delicious. Big Mike's Sports Bar and Grill. We're kind of a big deal.
Yeah, we have a couple sets of cornhole. We have the big Jenga.
Yeah.
Connect Four. We do. We just bought a bunch of board games and stuff, so we'll put them out on the table, and people can come grab some board games and decks of cards and stuff like that.
Love that.
It's really fun to see all the different people out on the patio, because people are like, who's your demographic? I don't believe that we really have a demographic. If you look out there on the patio, there's kids running around. The train comes by. They all run to the fence and see the train. Everybody's got their dogs. I mean, not many people label dogs as their demographic, but it is one of our demographics.
Absolutely.
Families, anybody.
Last time I was in there was the 18 to 25 crowd. There were several people in there that age, on up to 60. I mean, you put it the best way you could. There is no real demographic there. It's just whoever likes to chill, have a good time.
Yeah.
And you have more than beer there. You have wine there for those non-beer drinking folks. We make our own. We make our own root beer and cream soda. There you go.
That's the sodas that we offer. We have cold brew coffee on tap. We have 2 reds, 2 whites, and champagne, so we can make mimosas and stuff as well.
There you go. So it's not just for the beer drinking men out there, and look, I know a lot of beer drinking women personally. Y'all know who y'all are, but it's not just for that. You've got a little bit of something for everybody, even from the food.
Yeah, and food too. Let's just throw that in.
Yeah. I mean, you got onion rings, you got boudin balls, you got the best hand pies you can get anywhere in the world, in my opinion. And you've got a lot of great people surrounding you. So you never know who you'll run into, whether it's a podcaster or whether it's the mayor or whether it's, just a conglomerate of professionals and athletes and whatever at your place.
Man, people really enjoy being out there. You never know who you're going to meet. You're sitting at a table next to someone else. You strike up a conversation. There you go. You got a new friend.
Yeah.
And that's great to see it happen.
Yeah. And you're right there in the thick of it. Yep. And that must be a great feeling that, every day to go to work and you never know who's going to show up and who's, just a new friend. As
during the winter time, we have some, wood burning fire pits we put out there. We put all the Adirondack chairs around it.
Oh yeah.
And, there's like,
is that what you call them, Adirondack chairs?
Yes. I might be.
You might be right.
That is it.
The reason I say that is I've been trying to describe those chairs to people. I'm like, the kind you lounge back in, you kind of sit. So you just taught me something. Adirondack chairs, folks. That's what I was trying to think of.
So, but what I was saying is, like everybody sits around these Adirondack chairs around the fire, and we had 2 and sometimes 3 fire pits.
Yeah.
And people would just sit down with random people.
Yeah.
And through the middle of COVID, everybody's kind of spaced out still, but like you start chatting with everybody around, and there would be many times we walk up to the fire pits and be like, oh yeah, I know your sister. I worked with your sister at blah blah blah. And it's like everybody kind of realizes how they're connected.
Yeah.
And it's and they make new friends, and you see them exchanging phone numbers, and it's really cool thing to see any age group just mingling together and good clean fun.
Absolutely. And I'm glad y'all brought that up, and that is COVID. And it's interesting, y'all opened in October of 2020. Mm-hmm. That's a heck of a time to open,
Yep.
Right in the middle of the madness there. And you opened a Halloween night, actually.
Yep.
Now, the good thing is you opened when COVID was kind of beyond the major scare that it was in March of 2020 when nobody knew. We thought if we breathed on each other, we were going to kill each other, at that point in time. And so everybody kind of did their due diligence and, 2 weeks to, flatten the curve or whatever they were saying. And then that extended, and we found out new things about this illness, and so that was fortunately kind of we knew enough about it to know that maybe we were going a little overboard on some of the things. Right. So you opened in Halloween of 2020 finally after all this time. How was the response?
It was great. We opened Halloween night with 24 hours of notice.
Wow.
We found out that we had our insurance on Friday at noon.
Yeah.
And our goal was to open on Halloween, but we couldn't announce anything because we didn't know if we were going to have insurance.
Yeah.
And conveniently there was a hurricane in the Gulf that prevented them from issuing insurance at that point, from the underwriters or however all that stuff works.
Yeah.
And, we found out at noon that we were going to be able to open on Saturday, 24 hours later. And we we already had a post ready for it, and we posted it, and it was probably about 250 people showed up.
That's amazing.
So it was it kind of scared the hell out of us, to be honest. But
we were like, who are these people that are going to come? Do they exist?
Yeah.
How would they know? Because all we did was social media.
Yeah.
And we had a good amount of followers on Facebook, and we didn't even have a sign in front of our place that announced who we were.
Yeah.
They just came.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
And it was, everybody has opening day. We have, you have a little rough time with some things.
Oh, yes.
And but
every business.
Everything went pretty smoothly. We were literally just figuring out the POS system as we opened.
Yeah.
People were showing up early, and it was overwhelming, but it was a fantastic night. And everybody got beers, everybody got food. We had a little bit of a wait time on some things, but people understood. And they know that it's opening night, and we had 24 hours to prep.
Yeah. So, and there's kinks.
Yeah, exactly.
There's things you're not going to see coming. You can't really prepare for. Mm-hmm. So it sounds like y'all went through it like a champ, though. A little stressful maybe, but you probably figured out systems and ways of doing things, especially since that time, that have made you run even smoother and smoother and smoother.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, that next week after Halloween, we did so many improvements just that week from what we learned, and it's every single week, honestly. But that was a major learning curve right there.
Yeah. Sometimes getting thrown right in the fire is almost the best thing for you.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Because you'll never have a day like that, wild like that again, and you learn so many lessons.
And we had one POS system at the time, and like the next day we're like, we need to order another POS system.
You know, it's funny, and that particular issue plagues a lot of. They never have enough POS systems, and most people, they get that first one, and look, they're not cheap, and so you certainly don't want to have two if you don't need them.
Right.
But that is where the backup happens. You got 4 waitresses or something, and they're standing there waiting to ring up orders.
Right.
You could cut that time in half by but nobody ever figures that out till they open, you know, because you're like, I'm going to get 2 and I'm going to have one person at a time. And 250 people show up.
We're really proud now how many people we can get through the line without waiting. So.
Yeah.
Even if there's a line,
amazing.
I mean, there could be a line back to the brew system, and in less than 5 minutes, around 5 minutes, you have a beer in your hand, a drink, you got food ordered.
That's
and
awesome.
You can go sit down, and it's a little intimidating to some people, like standing in line, but we get through it really fast.
Yeah, you really do.
The simplicity behind the bar is just it leads to that. You know, all of our wine is on tap.
Yeah.
So you get the best product, you know, from the beginning of that keg to the end of the keg. Instead of opening a bottle and that last glass is not necessarily going to be as good,
right?
If it's the next day or whatever. So
very good point.
Yeah, and it's we just strive on simplicity behind the bar so we can get through those orders as fast as possible.
Yeah. And how about on the food side of things? Same thing?
If you order food at the bar, now we have a text messaging system to where you can order food at the bar. You get a text message to your or the truck, and you get a text message to your phone. You can come and pick it up when it's ready.
Come on.
That's
I like that idea. There you go. So listeners, check that out.
Hi, this is Lori Johnson with Hancock Whitney Bank, and you're listening to Local Leaders, the podcast. Visit localleadersthepodcast.com for previous episodes or for information on appearing on the show.
Too, and that food truck is parked in the back there. I don't know if you call it the courtyard, I guess, or
the patio.
And it's in there at night when they're open, and they're loving throwing hand pies at you. Yeah, well, not at you, but
let me also say, in the morning, Monday through Friday, we park the truck out on Range Road, right on the other side of the railroad tracks, and we do breakfast. So that's Monday through Friday, 6:30 to 9:30.
6:30 to 9:30, Monday through Friday, and almost no wait. And let me tell you, you'll just want to go by there. The lady that
Maddie.
Yeah. You'll just want to go by there to say hello to her, and you definitely want to get hand pies while you're there. But she's so pleasant. It's like you want to go out of your way, just even if you're on the other side of town. And half of that reason is just say hello to Maddie and get your hand pies.
And she's our morning superstar.
Yeah, she's awesome.
And also, if you just pass by and honk, she'll wave to you. So
yeah, there you go. I'm going to do that every day now.
but we prefer you to stop.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, definitely stop. Now tell me, with your breakfast, let's talk about the food you serve as far as the hand pies. And I know at one point you were doing kolaches, but you got kind of away from that. Kind of take me through that.
So we started with kolaches. That was kind of an easier route to get started. And it turned out it wasn't the right strategy. We're always contemplating our strategies. You can get good kolaches everywhere. Even though my kolaches were great,
yummy,
it didn't make me a destination. And I realized that I needed a destination type food. So I'm already doing the hand pies. That's on brand.
Yeah,
I should do that.
Yeah.
So we have fantastic boudin. So I made a boudin, pepper jack, and egg hand pie.
Yes.
So I've got that right now. But very soon we're going to be rolling out some new items. I guess I'll go ahead and talk about them. We're going to do some fried grits. They're going to be like a rectangle, like a hash brown. I'm going to start with a butter, cheddar, and bacon fried grits.
So it eats similar to a hash brown.
Yeah.
Like you can grab it and eat it.
Yeah, the
but
texture.
It's grits on the inside, and it's fantastic.
I mean, it kind of sounds like an
lovely.
appetizer, but I think that's almost a meal in itself.
Yeah.
It's really good though.
And then I've got another hand pie that's going to come out where I'm going to do cheesy hash browns and ham pieces.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, this guy, I'm telling y'all, he has like this, he's like a food savant. He sits there and he thinks of this with this would be really good. And the great thing about ham pies is you can stuff them and you can try different things. Have you ever made something and you were like, oh, that's not really good? I can't imagine.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like anything would be good in a ham pie.
We've been pretty fortunate so far. Like, we've thought all this stuff out pretty well, and we haven't had to dump any beers yet.
Yeah.
Well, I dumped 5 gallons of beer, but I mean, I haven't dumped any batches. He hasn't thrown out any food. Like, so far so good. So
the instincts are good with y'all.
It's going to come eventually.
Yeah.
But, food. That happens, but
But there's a lot of thought going into the forefront of these decisions.
Sure.
Kind of like, if I'm going to wing a recipe, I'm thinking about what am I going to do and what process so I can do it responsibly kind of way. I wing in a responsible manner.
Right.
So that way I'm like, you can always add more, but you can't take away.
Love it. Love it. Now, I want to mention something here. And so I asked y'all to provide like a why statement. And I'm going to read both of y'all's because both of them resonated with me, and I thought people needed to hear this. So we'll go ahead and we'll start with Brett's. And Brett said, my why is because I've always wanted to enjoy what I do. I want to spring up out of bed and love going to work type career. When getting into the craft beer industry, a lot of people don't know much about it. It's a community in itself. We help each other. It's all about growing craft beer and helping the community grow. Number one, unlike a lot of industries, other craft beer companies, y'all get along. Y'all don't, hate each other, want to shut each other down, and are cutthroat with each other.
Right.
It's something that we discussed. I mean, it is like a little community, right?
Absolutely. Last week, I bought some kegs from the guys over at Gilla.
Yeah.
In Ascension Parish. When we were first open, I didn't have a grain delivery.
Yeah.
And kind of went missing for a day or two, and then I went and borrowed some grain from Cypress Coast and Mid-City.
Yeah.
And just anything that we need, we just reach out to each other and we can help each other.
That's pretty awesome.
It's unique to any other industry I've ever seen, and that's one of the main factors that I really wanted to be in this industry.
I love it. And it's important to note that there are people all over the country. We were talking about this, and let's say they're going to the beach in Florida, and let's say they live in Texas. Well, they'll actually Google on their phone like breweries near me, and they'll make stops along that route.
Yep.
So it is like a community, and especially the hobbyists that love to visit these places. Do you get a lot of that with people stopping by?
A lot. We one thing we kind of been noticing lately is we'll see RVs and stuff pull up.
Yeah,
they'll park in the parking lot across the street or whatever, and they'll come in and they'll have a beer, they'll get a can to go, and they head out and go find their campsite.
That's awesome.
So it's people are Googling, and we're bringing people into Denham Springs downtown.
Bingo. That's what I was getting at. Yes, you are. So there's that's almost a side benefit to this great brewery that we have here, is that they're bringing people into our community that are not familiar with our community. They're not familiar with Denham Springs, and guess what? They're bringing them right there to the antique district. So maybe after they have a beer or two, they're going to go, shopping and all of that, right?
Yeah, and that area is very unique. I feel like the authenticity just resonates. You can't get that anywhere else. It's really real.
Yeah, it's such a great location, y'all.
And I just want to point out too that it's very mutualistic. There's a lot of people that come to the shops, and the shops send them down to us.
Yes,
and it works both ways.
Yes,
and we're very grateful for that.
Absolutely. And one of the things I love about Livingston Parish and this community is we do support each other, and we do have kind of that, we're not such a small town like we used to be, but we still have that small town attitude. I want to read your why statement. Yours was also very good.
Oh, man.
This is a good one. He said, I do this because I love being creative, methodical, strategic, and love to figure out problems. Every day is a challenge doing what we are doing, and there's always a new problem to be tackled. I also love interacting with people and sharing what I'm passionate about with them. And there's that word. I get this every episode, and that is passion. Leaders are passionate about what they're doing. This is not a job to them. This is a life, right? This is a livelihood. Ryan, the interesting thing about you is when I had you write your questionnaire, you're very articulate. You were very explanatory, and you use the right verbiage. For instance, creative, methodical, strategic. You love to figure out problems. That's your computer side of you, and,
sure,
and all of those things. But how much do you love Chien? I mean, this is like heart to you, right?
Sure. I mean, I wouldn't want to be doing anything else.
Yeah, and it shows. And it is so important for me to get that across in this episode that these guys right here they're hard to beat as people. Their business is top notch. Their location is perfect. And if you have not been there, please, please, please check it out. Go by there. Say hello. Tell them Jim sent you by. All of those things. And they will take care of you. There's no doubt about it. I also want to read something else, and this spoke to me. This was almost emotional for me. So I'm going to read this, but I asked you what individual has had a large influence on you and why. And he said, my brother. He's hardworking and has always had a drive to do this. He approaches anything, whether he knows about it or not, figures it out and gets it done. He's the most tenacious person I know. Oh. That's pretty freaking awesome.
Stop
and you
it, Jim.
are.
I'm going to tear up.
That's all right. I've been Diane Sawyer before.
Somebody cut onions in here.
But it's that's a heck of a thing to say about your brother, man. And so, but that shows you how much these two guys love each other and they love their business. And you are tenacious. And I dig that about you. You're going to make me cry. All right. So this show's about leaders. And I also asked you how you would define a leader. And I want to cover Brett's here first. I asked you how to define a leader, and you said, I'd define a leader by someone that leads from the front of the team, one who doesn't mind getting their hands dirty and teaches people the way they prefer to learn. A true leader leads by example. I couldn't have said that any better, and it's absolutely a fact. The biggest part to what you said was teach people the way they prefer to learn.
Absolutely.
You've got to kind of know. You can't manage people all the same way. One guy might respond to, "Hey man, you need to be better." You're doing. Another one might cower away, and you might lose that person. But a leader can kind of differentiate between those type of people, and they know exactly how to manage that. So you were dead on in that, and I wanted to mention that.
That one kind of speaks to me a little bit too, because I learn a lot differently than a lot of other people. Yeah. So having managers and working under people in the past, and they're just barking orders at you, and it's like, dude, I don't really learn this way. Can you show me how to do it? I'm a hands-on person. Yeah. And or tell me how to do it while I do it. Yeah. And so that's always helped me a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're not afraid to get down there and get dirty and learn it, right?
Exactly.
I mean,
and another part of that too is I worked at Disney World.
Oh, did you?
And the way
that's
they train,
cool.
Yeah, it was great. I worked at Animal Kingdom in a restaurant, and the way they kind of train their managers is that they would go through training in every single position in the restaurant. Yeah. As a regular employee, nobody knew they were going to be a manager. Yeah. And then they would learn the ins and outs. They would learn the people. They would learn every position as an employee, and then they say, "Hey, this is your new manager." Yeah. And they knew the entire restaurant. That's cool. Instead of throwing somebody in and saying, "Hey, this is your new boss," they don't know anything about the restaurant. So you learn to respect that person as a person, and then, "Hey, this is your new leader."
Well, they've been there. They've done it at that point. And you're right. That is it's hard to beat Disney when it comes to things like that.
Then they can lead as example.
That's right. That's exactly right. I want to cover next thing we're going to cover. We talked about the hours a little bit and how it's different hours than you would find at just any place. So we mentioned the breakfast 6:30 to 9:30 Monday through Friday. That's the Pied Hand Pies food truck that you'll see parked out front there, right there on Range. And they will take care of you there. Go see Maddie. Obviously their main place, their brewery. What are the hours there? Thursday 5 to 9:30.
9:30. Yep.
Friday 4 to 11. Saturday 12 to 11. And the rest of the time you're back there brewing, right? You're getting things ready for those days. Thursday, Friday, Saturdays.
A lot of during the week we're making beer, making pies. Just kind of getting everything ready for the weekend. You
have some space back there in the patio where you can handle parties, and you had one the other night. It was like an engagement party and all of those sorts of things. So there's a lot of space back there in which to do that. So just reach out to Chien. If you have an event coming up, a private event of some sort, reach out to them and they can accommodate it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just go to our website, lechien.beer.
Yeah.
And there's a form there that you can fill out, and it'll get with our bar manager who takes care of all of our events.
Yeah, there you go. So make sure you do that. And I'm going to tag that in this episode so it makes it easy. You can just click on that link and you can get all that fixed up. Now, Dane Arnold with Itradexchange has been enabling small business in the Livingston Parish area to save cash through his network of over 300 participating Livingston Parish businesses. Saving cash by trading services with other exchange members is what Itradexchange is all about. For more information, contact Dane Arnold at 225-205-3640 or visit itradexchange.biz. I want to talk about a few of the events that you have coming up. These are exciting. These are exciting things. The first one is coming up July 3rd, and I'm actually dropping this particular podcast early. Instead of Friday, I'm gonna get this out there tomorrow at some point because we have a major event coming up. I will be there, so if you see me there, come say hello to me. I might buy you a beer. As a matter of fact, I will buy you a beer.
Hey, Jim, I think we need one more person in the Dunkin' booth.
I wouldn't have to worry about my hair, would I? I got no worries there. So I might get in that Dunkin' booth. Who knows? But July 3rd, they have a big shindig happening right there at Chien. They're going to celebrate Independence Day. They're opening at 11 a.m., so it's going to be a little earlier than normal to get the fun and shenanigans started early, right?
Yep.
Pies has prepared some special menu items. Tell me about that.
We're going to do apple pie, hand pies. I think that's what everybody wants for a good July 4th weekend.
Yes, that sounds lovely. And you get, we talked about the Dunkin' booth. Police Chief Womack will be in the Dunkin' booth. You can dunk him and you can dunk the building inspector. That would be fun. You're having a hot dog eating contest.
We are. It's going to be against the Denham. It's going to be between the Denham Springs Police Department and the Denham Springs Fire Department.
Awesome. And it's 20. I think you're doing. Are you doing a one that you can just enter if you're not with those two?
There is a regular participant one that we're going to do.
Yeah, we're going to do an open where anybody can be.
Awesome.
Can join, and it's going to be $20 a person to enter, and all that goes to the animal shelter as well.
That's right. And the dunking booth, $1 a throw. I'll spend $1 any day to dunk somebody.
Well, the winner of the open entry hot dog contest is going to get a $50 bar tab.
Sweet.
And then in the Dunkin' booth also we have Father Matthew Graham from Immaculate Conception Church.
Yes, very familiar with Father Matthew.
He'll be there at 12:30 in the Dunkin' booth.
Awesome. So you can even dunk Father Matthew, and he don't mind a bit. Live music at 6 p.m., right?
Live music.
Awesome.
We do live music every Friday and Saturday.
Yes.
At 6 p.m. to 10 p.m.
Yes, and beautiful music. Some really talented local folks there that are there for your enjoyment and entertainment. So you're serving some brats and hot dogs that day?
Yeah, the brats are going to be amazing. They're going to be all beef brats. We're going to steam them in beer.
Man.
Yeah, this lady that I know, she was talking about this place that used to exist here, and they do beer steam brats. We've done it before. It caramelized the outside of the brats, kind of makes them kind of sweet. They're wonderful, and we'll be serving those hot dogs and brats with chili and a homemade beer cheese. If you want to get either one of those on it,
that just makes me hungry talking about that. And we do want to mention the running club real quick. So they show up on Thursdays, I believe it is, and kind of go through that real fast.
So running club, we do at every Thursday at 6:15. We run a 5K. We run back through the go towards the water tower.
Yep.
And we run back through the neighborhoods behind the stadium of the high school. And there's a lot of routes that you can do a little bit more miles. We have all skills of runners. We have people that are running really, really fast miles. And we have moms that show up with wagons with the kids, and they pull them around the block, and they come right back.
Yeah.
So it's a very supportive group. You know, like I said, there's all skill levels. If there's anybody listening that wants to branch out into running and wants a little social interaction, it's a great place to go and kind of jump off and don't feel intimidated, because everybody is going to give you a high five whenever you run by.
Absolutely.
Whether you're struggling or not.
Yeah.
Everybody's very supportive.
Then there's a reward also. So if you get done running, you can come by and have a beer.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then we start off trivia on Thursdays. Right after
trivia night. Yeah, which is very popular.
Absolutely.
I was there last Thursday, and as I was leaving, it started to get packed in there. And I'm like, man, they got a lot of people coming in here.
So we start trivia at 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
And we do we're doing 2 rounds right now. And it's a $25 bar tab for first place and koozies for the second place
I think
teams.
I want to do that. I'm going to do that. So how, if you want a team, if you have a team, how many people makes up a team?
I think it's up to 6 people.
Yeah.
Okay.
1 to 6 people. Yeah. And if it's more than that, we just ask y'all to split up into separate teams. And, And Justin Wax, Denham Springs local.
Yeah.
He's the host.
Okay.
He's so great. He's very charismatic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Everybody has a lot of fun.
And Andy McLean.
Yeah, I know Justin. He actually reached out to me last week about he has a fireworks stand, I think, or something like that. Yeah, and they were going to talk about it. So Justin called me. So
shout out to the Cracker Shack.
The Cracker Shack. I like it. I do want to mention some of the names of these beers because they're pretty awesome, and the branding is fits right in with you guys. The Tail Wagger, my favorite. All Bark, Some Bite, Illusional, Unleashed, which is my second favorite. Russian Imperial Snout. How about that one? And Puppy Love. Those are some of the beers that you can get there. They got guest taps, including Huckleberry, Riverboat Raz, and Trail Dog, which is a tangerine wheat. You can ask about their wines. Root beer, cream soda, cold brew coffee. And, of course, the food is phenomenal. If you have not tried hand pies, I'm telling you, be careful because you're going to get hooked quick. So I appreciate y'all coming on today. Anything else as far as events that you can think of? I do want to mention Real Life Real Crime. We'll be doing a meet and greet. Our friends at Real Life Real Crime podcast by Woody Overton will be doing a meet and greet right there at Le Chien on the 25th of July. It's Sunday. It's a special event. I guarantee you, the house is going to be packed. Woody's a special individual. He's a very good friend of this show, and he'll be there. I'll be there. So just bring yourselves and let's all drink some beer together, and you can meet the master of storytelling, as I like to call Woody.
And free admission for that. Everybody just come hang out. We're going to have Buddy's Barbecue for food that day.
Mickey over there at Buddy's going to be there, and the best beer I know anywhere in the world. So go by to see that. Anything else you think of?
One thing on the 3rd of July party for Independence Day celebration, our final round of the hot dog competition is going to be our fire department versus police department.
Sweet.
So we have 5 of each of those guys, and they've been talking smack for weeks now. So
I can imagine.
So
that's going to get competitive.
Yeah, so they're very excited about it, and we're hoping that this is going to be an annual thing.
Yes.
And we're going to always have police department versus fire department. It'd be some friendly competition.
It's a match made in heaven.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they're training right now.
Yeah. I love it.
And that's going to be at 3:00.
3:00. So, and I'll be there also, July 3rd and just hanging out. Come say hello to me if you see me there. So thank you again for coming on, y'all.
Thanks for having us.
I enjoy this. I enjoy y'all. I feel blessed that I've now been introduced to a place that I can just go and hang out, and I'm surrounded by friends. That's always a good thing. I do want to mention at the end of this podcast that there is the podcast annual awards going on right now. This is the People's Choice Awards. And I am on that ballot. So I need your vote. This is a shameless plug. I'm gonna be promoting some things on Facebook, but please go and there's a section there for Best Business Podcast. I would love you to put down Local Leaders Podcast hosted by Jim Chapman. There's also some categories there that Woody Overton will be in, and I think he's in 3 categories. So vote for Woody Overton on those with Real Life, Real Crime, the podcast. And let's see if we can get 2 Livingston Parish podcasters in the People's Choice Awards. That would be phenomenal.
You got our vote.
I love it. I love it.
And Jim, man, you're
I'll take all I can get.
What you're doing is so great for the community. I've
Thank
never
you.
seen somebody so passionate about Livingston Parish and wanting to do good things here. So
thank you. I appreciate it. And it's really my pleasure, and it's a selfish joy because I get to meet folks like you. I get to frequent your establishments, and I'm really blessed every day to do that. I mean that. From all of us at Local Leaders, including me, Jim Chapman, I want to thank you for watching the show. Thank you to all my sponsors. We could not do any of this without all of you. I say it every week. And until next time, I'm Jim Chapman reminding you to love your community, support local business like LeChien, and keep leading. Thank you very much. Blaksheep Creative understands the importance of digital marketing and your return on your investment. It's their aim to provide professional web and graphic design services at a price point that smaller businesses and startups can afford. Get in touch with them on the web at blaksheepcreative.com. SportNCenter in Denham Springs is your one-stop shop for team sports equipment, school uniforms, and promotional goods. Conveniently located next to the Antique Village since 1977. SportNCenter, your business means everything to them because your name rides on everything they do.